Good morning, boys. So I thought I'd try and make you, where do I look for this thing so it looks like I'm looking at you? Maybe over here. Anyway, I thought I would try doing a watercolor video for you and see if you like this. So one of the things I love about watercolors is that they have an luminosity. That's a big word, luminosity. If something is illuminating, it means that there's light, or it shows we have to look it up in the dictionary. Illuminate, it means to shine light on something. So you can use watercolors and they can be either dark or light. And typically we don't use a lot of white, even though you probably have white in your kit. You can use that, but we're going to try things without using that white right now. And I wanted to show you this chart here. And you'll see at the top of so the way this chart goes, this is the color gray, Payne's gray. And when you have a lot of water and a little bit of paint, it can be very light. And then you add a little more paint, a little more paint, a little more paint, till you can get a very black color. And so this has a luminosity because you can kind of see through it to the white paper. So each color has a range. Each one of those little blocks of colors in your palette has a range of it can be quite light, or as you go down and add more and more paint to the water, it can be quite dark. And when you use it light like this, you can do a lot of different, create a lot of different wonderful scenes, techniques. You don't have to use it just dark like that. So one of the tricks to learning watercolors, to learn how to paint with it in a light color, see-through color, as well as the non-see-through color. So here's yellow and then blue, how I've done it. So this probably shows up backwards on your on the video, the writing. But anyway, I'm going to change my camera around and show you how to do that, because it can be fun to learn. I think it's fun anyway, to learn the variety of color that you can get from each one of those little squares in your box of colors. And I'll show you how to do that in just a sec. Okay, one of the things, boys, I'd encourage you to do is to figure out what your colors are in your palette. This is, we call our palette. And in my palette here, you can see that I have a little square that I keep with my palette that shows me what the colors are, because they don't always look like the color here. This is a very dark color, and sometimes some of these colors, like, well, what is that? What is that color there? So I have a little square piece of watercolor paper, and I've made some lines on it to match the lines that are here. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 across, and then 3 down, 3 down, and I've done it with a ruler. And then I've written what the name of the color is. You might not know what the name of your color is, but on these little squares and on the box here that came with it, it lists the names. So someplace you might have the names of the colors that you could write on your square piece of paper here. And then you just do a little swatch to match. Let's see, where's my white is up here. My white is up here. And then you put it with your paints. I put it with my paints when I storm away like that. And I always have it around so I can know what color I want to use. So that's a little thing that you could do with your paints to know what your colors are. Now, let me turn this off and I'll start the next one. Okay, we'll see if this works this way. So, one of the things that I think is helpful is to have a spray bottle, because you don't want to put too much water in your paints. It can kind of ruin it, and then they're hard to dry. So a spray bottle is good, and you can just spray a little bit. I'm going to spray, let's see, what color shall I use? I think I'll use this red and this yellow down here. Those two reds and yellows. Okay, so where'd my brush go? I just had it here. Here we are. Okay, so I'm going to wet my brush, and then this is a tray, white to mix on. I'm going to add some water here. And I'm going to take just a little bit of this red paint and put it in this water. Can you see that? Put it in the water. And we want this kind of to look like tea. That look like tea a little bit. Not the color, but kind of how tea looks. You can kind of see through tea. So how light is that color? That goes on pretty light there. Move this up so you can see a little better. Then I'm going to take a little more of the color and add it in to our palette here. And this time we should make it look a little more like coffee, how coffee looks. So what would that look like? That's a little darker, isn't it? Then we add a little more paint, not much, a little more paint. This time, it's looking a little bit more like milk. So put that down. How dark is that? That's a little bit darker, isn't it? Not a ton darker. Let's try adding a little more to the milk. Make it a little more. Now that's more like milk. Okay, I'm going to add a little paint to that. It's darker. Okay, now we're going to add a little more. A little more. And this time it's going to look more like cream. Is that looking like cream? Maybe I'm going to add a tad more paint. Get it to look more like cream. Add it on our paper. See, that's much darker, isn't it? And then we're going to add a little more. And it's supposed to be more like butter, so you could kind of even take it from over here if it's going to be like butter, and put it, and ooh, look how dark that is. Oh, you can't see it, so I'll pull it up so see how dark that is. So we've got tea, coffee, milk, cream, and butter. So let me do that now with a different color, just so you can see it again. I'm going to do it with the color yellow this time. Make sure that my brush is clean. Let me start a new video because I don't want these to be too long. Okay, so now we're going to do the color yellow, and I'm going to spray a little bit into my palette here. A couple of squirts. Then I'm going to take just a little bit of the yellow and add it. And it's going to be our tea mixture. See what that looks like here. Very light. Add a little more to make our coffee. A little darker, not a ton, a little bit darker. Add a little more for our cream. Notice I'm not adding any more water to this over here. We're just adding paint to it. This is going to be our cream mixture. A little bit darker, isn't it? Add a little more. Oh no, that's milk. Sorry. I did the wrong one. But still, that's the name. It's the right color. It's just I named it wrong. So that's milk. Tea, coffee, milk. Now we're doing cream. Adding more paint to it. Oh, that's a nice dark yellow. And now that was the cream. Now we're going to add more. Make it very thick, or take it right out of there and make, ooh, look at that yellow. Very dark yellow. So let me show you that, how that looks. The light one all the way up to the dark one. So we've got tea, coffee, milk, cream, and butter. That's the consistency of how the paint looks in the tray. So I've got one more thing to show you today, and let me start a new video for that. Now, another thing we can do today is to mix up these paints together. So for example, like in my palette here, I have what? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15 paints. 15 colors. I can't remember how many colors do you guys have. That I'd be curious about that. We have many more colors that we can make than just these. Many, many more. And we're just going to do a group of them today. And so we have yellow and our red. And this red we call, what is this red? I'll get my glasses on to read it. This red is permanent red light, and the yellow is azo yellow. So if you look at that red, it's kind of an orangey red, and we're going to add it to the yellow. Red and yellow make orange, so this is already an orangey red. So it's not going to be I'm guessing it's not going to be a huge change, but we'll see what happens, okay? So we're going to take this yellow over here, and we're going to add drop by drop, because red is strong and yellow is not. What's going to happen here? Oh, I don't even think I got a drop there. Wait a minute. Okay. Adding some red to the yellow. Oh, that kind of makes it a sunflower kind of yellow. I'm going to put that on my piece of paper here, up here. Then I'm going to add a tad more red, just a little bit over here. We haven't added any water or anything, we're just adding paint. Now that becomes a little bit more like an orange, a yellow orange. And you can think of different uses for that. I think sunflowers, we're making sunflowers with that color would be pretty. Okay, then we can take a little more over here, just the tip, on my tip of my brush. Oh, that was a lot of red. Red is strong. And that makes a more orangey kind of yellow, doesn't it? What's that like on the paper? Oh, that's a real orange. That would be great for, what is orange? What can you use the color orange for? Then the other thing we can do with this over here is we can start adding water to this to make it more illuminescent. So we could take our spritzer, put a spritzer of water in it. We're kind of watering it down here because I can't take paint out. The only thing I can do to make the color more like coffee or tea is to add water this time. So here, putting that down. Let's see how light we can get it. We don't always want to have colors that are totally dark colors. We want some very light colors as well. Can you think what you need to have a light color for? Paint that. That's lighter. A little bit lighter. Let's add some more water. Ooh, I added a lot of water this time. Let's see what that color's like. Much, much lighter. And then one more time, let's add some more water to this and see if we can get it super, super, super light. What would you use that light color for? If you were doing a fruit or a vegetable, or something with monsters, what would a light color need to be for? Oh, that's very light. So let me show you how that looks. So we went from that, we added a little drop of red to make those three, more red, and we got a real orange. And then we started to add water to water it down and make it like tea. So boys, let me know if you would like more of this kind of thing for watercolor. I have lots to share. And when you're doing it, try doing some of your paints, tea, coffee, milk, cream, and butter, and see what the variety of color is that you can get. See if you know the names of the colors in your palette. And try making an orange, yellow. I don't know, maybe you have 2 reds in there, maybe you have 2 yellows. Different reds and different yellows mixed together make different kinds of orange. And then the other thing would be, what can you use the color orange for? Why would you need the color orange? Maybe you can make a list of things that you would need that color for. And then you can think, do I need a light orange or do I need a dark orange? Okay, that's it. Let me know if you want some more. Bye-bye. I had fun.